Welcome to the All Financial Hour podcast with Steve All.
Jump right into a subject that spins a lot of people out, Steve. Pardon the dad humor here, okay? and it is annuities, because we talk a lot about, oh my gosh, there's the old kind, there's the people's old opinions of them, there's how they've changed. So you get a lot of different opinions, all right? And recently on the Barron's Roundtable, the people there were discussing both the negative and positive results of annuities in a retirement portfolio. Take a listen.
So, Elizabeth, you and I have talked a lot about annuities. Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge fan, but I will concede that sometimes you don't want the perfect to be the enemy of the good. There's a behavioral reason why annuities can serve an important role.
Absolutely. The sleep at night factor, if you know that your expenses are covered by guaranteed income sources, including Social Security and an annuity, these market gyrations aren't going to keep you up at night. And, you can use them to cover your day-to-day bills in retirement, and they can also allow you to take more equity risk. If you know your near-term expenses, your essential expenses are fixed, then you can, take more equity risk, and that can help the longevity of your portfolio.
So look, they're saying you could take more equity risk potentially depending on how you position that annuity. So they provide income. How do you speak to people, Steve, about annuities and how they could be a buffer to take on more risk?
I look at it to the point for myself when I bring somebody into the office. And the first time that word gets said, annuities, I know some of you all out there in the audience just grew horns, because there are horror stories about annuities. Grandpa Joe bought one and he died like 3 years later and the insurance company kept his money. That's usually the one that I get. Or high expenses, just different things. And the idea around it of it is the insurance companies, and when I get somebody that complains almost all the time, their complaint's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
But that would be like saying, my car's not safe anymore because it doesn't have seat belts. Well, if you buy a 1950 car, it doesn't have seat belts.
Right. That's correct.
But the new ones, they're required. They have shoulder straps. Remember when all we had was the belt that went around your waist?
Some of my family had those cars. I was never around when that was the norm, but yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I remember we didn't have seat belts. So it goes from there. So just like with automobile and all of technology, things have changed. And I think the insurance companies have done a much better job. But I like what she said when they started talking about it. One, if there is a gap between your lifestyle expenses and your Social Security and pension, if you've got one, if there's a gap between those two, and if you can fill that gap so that your income is covered, no matter what the market does, the market can go up, the market can go down, you're not as concerned about that. We used to call it mailbox money. There's some of us out there remember what that was. Now it's just ETFs into my checking account type deal. I got an ACH today, but that money hits your account every month at the exact same time. And that's when they look at it and say, would a personally funded pension, because you're taking the money, giving it to an insurance company, and they are going to look at it to sit here and say, can they give me a guaranteed income and how much is it going to take? The good thing about the ones today, most are on an income rider, and if you prematurely pass, the balance of the asset goes on to your heirs, not back to the insurance company.
Yeah, that's a big change.
Big change. And then we look at it, could I take more risk? I look at that one in two ways. One, yes, my income is covered. Two, with the fixed indexed annuity that cannot go down due to market volatility, but I get to participate in the market if it goes up. Now, there are limiters on all those, and you have to understand that. So you have those limiters. Well, if I've got a portion of my portfolio on the invested side that cannot go down due to market volatility, can I be a little bit more aggressive with the balance of the money?
Right.
For some people, that's comfortable. For some people, it's not. And that's where I look at it is annuities, the right tool for the right job. If you've got a gap between your expenses and your income, I think a personally funded pension or an annuity with an income rider makes a whole lot of sense. And if those two things are being met and you want something for asset protection so you can be more aggressive with the rest of your money, I think both work. So no matter where you're at with that, if you would like more information on how annuities work, please give us a call. And if you have an annuity and you're not really sure how that thing fits in your plan, you bought it a while ago or somebody sold it to you, but you're really not sure exactly how it works, call and ask for that annuity x-ray. Allow myself and my team to assist you on how they might be a tool that you could use to enhance your retirement.
And look, we're just talking about a bill that could pass in the next however long, right? But a retirement lasts potentially decades. How many different times are the tax codes going to change? You need to have a plan that can withstand the ifs, outs, and what have yous, if you will, right, Steve, for retirement? Because as soon a different administration could come and have its own different tax code, and 20 years from now it could be back to the same. So that's why you want to learn how to weather taxes in retirement with Steve All and the team. Well, hey, I talked about ins, outs, what have yous, up and downs, and any other articles I could throw in there. Look, volatility remains a concern no matter what, right? We saw what happened in April, and now it's bounced back. It's almost completely recovered. Investment strategist Brian Belsky talked to Fox Business recently, and he sees nothing but an up arrow in the near future. Here's what Brian had to say about the near future.
We still think that the United States stock market is the best asset in the world, period, for equities. And when equities are on sale, that's when you want to buy. We think that new highs are upon us. We think the stock market's higher at year end. We think the stock market is significantly higher 12 months from now.
What matters for someone of a different age group could be different than someone who's 5 years from retirement, Steve. So should someone near retirement be chasing the rally or protecting for the downside, Steve?
I look at that one of it is, and I think a lot of people think it the same way you just said it. It's an either or.
Yeah.
My statement, why don't we look at both? Because, see, I think that what happens is a lot of people, as they get closer to retirement, I can't take any more risk. I am not going to be adding any more money to it. So they get ultra conservative. And I've seen a lot of people when they come in and they sit down, I'm going to give you the good news or the bad news, and sit down with somebody and say, you will go broke safely. You've got all of the risk off of the table.
Right.
So I believe that it is a combination of those two things. I look at it at the point, I want to get the best return that I can get with the least amount of risk possible. That's why we use Market Guard, that proprietary investment methodology that uses non-emotional, methodical, mathematical approach to answer the three questions that almost everybody asks. Steve, should I be holding on? Should I sell? And if I did sell, when should I re-enter back into the market? So that's where we look at it and say, Market Guard is the one to assist us with those decisions. We've got the availability of ETF portfolios. They're less internal expense than a mutual fund. Mm-hmm. And we have individual stock portfolios. I can be as aggressive as somebody wants to be or as conservative as somebody wants to be in the market. But I think having a good plan is the overall part that is the important part. So if you are 5 to 10 years out from retirement and you're not sure exactly where you're at, if you've asked yourself that question, when can I retire? Will I run out of money? Give us a call. Let us do that comprehensive retirement plan so we can look at your situation to find out when you might be able to retire and how comfortable you're going to be in that retirement. Give us a call now. Allow us to run that comprehensive retirement plan.
We talk about traditional retirement plans like 401ks, even the soon-to-be extinct, it seems like, pension from full-time company jobs, Steve. But there are nearly 17 million self-employed in the U.S., and 1.4 million in the last 2 years alone have switched to working for themselves. So how does retirement planning look different for someone who doesn't have one of those corporate retirement plans?
Big thing that I like to look at when you start to get to small business owners like myself, you are responsible for your retirement. That's about as simple as I can possibly put it. That's your job. Because a lot of people sit back and go, well, I'm just going to sell my business when I retire. And I'm going to tell you, that's not as easy as it goes. One of my first clients, Jim, he came in. We talked about him selling his business. He'd had a couple offers for his business. And he said, I'm just not ready to sell at this time. 3 to 4 years later, the financial collapse hit.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so his business kind of went down very strongly. And now he wanted to sell, but there was nobody out there to buy. And I have seen that over and over again where when people want to buy, the owner doesn't want to sell. And when the owner wants to sell, nobody wants to buy. So those are the two pictures that I like to look at as a small business owner. Remember, 401ks are fairly expensive to operate if you have a small number of employees. But if you're on your own, that solo 401k, you can put some money back into that. SEP IRAs work for that also. And if you've got a few more employees, but you want to give them some incentive to do it, the simple IRAs work out very well. So those are the plans that can be used to assist you in, one, preparing for your own retirement, as well as assisting your employees to do it. Because you got to remember, back in the 401ks, you remember the days when, you would put it in and the company would give you 6% matches,
Oh, yeah.
8% matches.
Good old days.
Those aren't out there anymore. Most companies are in, we'll give you, if you put in $1, we'll put in 50 cents to up to 4%. So they're not as big as they were when our generation came into this.
Right.
So we want to look at that and say, what are you doing for your retirement? And there are other tools outside of just having deferred assets that can be used to give you more than just one bucket of money to draw upon during your retirement years. And that's why I said, come in, sit down, let's talk. Let's figure out where you're at and what could be the best things for you to do. Because in all cases, defer might be a great thing to do if you haven't deferred a lot. But what if you've already deferred a lot of money? I don't want you getting subject to that, tax rate risk in the future, because there will be higher taxes in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Almost everybody agrees the taxes are going to have to rise. Well, if they are, let's look and see what we can do about it now. Just give us a call. Allow myself and my team to assist you in this planning for your retirement.
Thanks for listening to the All Financial Hour podcast.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG. All Financial Group, LLC is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not subject to investment advisor requirements. IPW and All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. All Financial Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by All Financial Group, LLC.
This radio show is intended for information purposes only.